This is Smart Investing with Michael J. Wren.
What's that, nerds? You're a bigger fan than I am?
Do you know what a derivative is?
A derivative is when you don't invest in a thing, but you kind of invest in a thing like the thing you're investing in.
Yeah, me neither.
Securities and advisory service offered through KMS Financial Services.
This is Smart Investing with Michael J. Wren.
Mike, I hope, well, the spirits hope you're sitting down because I've just received some wiggity psychic vibes about your future.
And Michael's co-host, Chris Martin.
He was the first person to sneeze in space and survive.
For I have the pride, the privilege, nay, the pleasure of introducing to you the one, the only.
This is Smart Investing with Michael J. Wren.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to Smart Investing with Michael Wren. I'm Michael Wren, your host. Telephone number here to the studio is 509-241-5900. You can find us on the web at smartinvestingshow.com. So, yeah, let's just get over it. The debt's downgraded. What the heck do we do now? Blah, 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 blah. So, if you've got a question or a comment, obviously that takes precedence. 509-241-5900. And that's pretty much it. Goodbye. No.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. So, let's take a reset. First off, if you were 100% invested before, you might be saying, now this is just money that you have that you absolutely don't want to trust anybody with at all, ever. That's what you keep in cash. Or you're just so scared at this time that you know, you need more of that in that bucket needs to be more full than usual. Second thing is, there's a lot of strategies out there and a lot of people that think that you should have your money in U.S. government bonds, corporate bonds, tax-free bonds, then a few different and assorted bonds from international governments. Then you should have your money in large U.S. companies, medium-sized U.S. companies, small U.S. companies, large international companies based overseas, not in the United States, medium-sized companies not based in the United States, small companies not based in the United States. Then you should have some of your money in something like commodities, and then you should have some of your money in a bucket or some sort of an investment that will actually make you money when the whole S&P 500 goes down. How many minutes did it take me to say all that?
About 3.
Right. I'm not a fan of those strategies because when it gets right down to it, you have to trust me. But then after the trust is built up, you just want me to make you money in a way that doesn't scare you. That strategy that I just gave you is a way that you can have either stock market index type returns, a little bit better than index returns, or less than indexed returns, with a little bit less of the risk, maybe a little bit more of the risk, or about the same risk. And you can pay an awful lot to do that if you work with somebody that's in my industry, or you can get pretty close to doing it yourself through index funds. Yeah, I'm from the industry, and I just said that you could get pretty close to doing it yourself. What's the difference in that? Well, the difference is that more than likely, if you don't have a personal trainer with you, you're going to panic out at some point in time, and that's really going to hurt your returns. Where if you've got a personal coach, if you will, a personal trainer, they're going to be able to hold your hand in some instances to keep you invested longer, which will make you more money. Now, we're getting to the point, though, that a lot of my industry isn't very good at providing that sort of guidance. I guess what I'm telling you is I need something more concrete to be able to hold your hand with when the going gets tough, like now. I just don't want to be there saying that things are just going to work out and we need to stay the course of these 10 or 12 different mutual funds and all of these different asset classes. That may work, but I'm just not... I am just not a fan of that because I don't think I have enough value added there for you. Now that may be my own problem. Somebody from my industry might be able to quote you chapter and verse why I would be worth it and why they're worth it in that scenario, but I don't have it in me. So we've got a caller. Kathy is on. Is her name Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, Kathy, thanks for calling.
Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you bet.
As I said, I'm 85 years old. I have some savings, and I've never been in the stock market, and I'm not interested in making any money.
Okay.
Not at 85, but I'd like to keep what I have.
Okay.
Do you think it's wise to buy Boeing and maybe Triumph's group now?
Why are you coming up with those names,
Well,
Kathy? I'm awfully curious.
Boeing, of course, I feel they're pretty strong. I'm not real sure. And my daughter works at Triumph, so I was thinking I would go there because their stock, I think, went up last week, a little bit.
So do I get any credit for asking that and then ferreting out that your daughter works in the aerospace industry for Triumph? Do I get any credit at all for that?
Oh, yeah.
Do I get a gold star? Okay.
I'll give you a gold star for that.
Kathy, you are the reason why everything's going to be okay. Do you realize that?
You think so?
Yeah, here's why. Because you're 85 years old and you're not panicking.
No.
Can you please talk to some of the other people that are like 30 years your junior and tell them to quit panicking and acting like a bunch of pansies? Please?
Well,
I mean...
the ones on the radio that I listen to, you know. They give you the whammies, believe me.
So, Kathy, did you work outside the home when you were younger?
Oh, yes. I worked for 30 years in the movie industry.
Did you really?
Yes.
Where at?
In Hollywood. Universal.
Wow, what did you do in the movie industry?
I was a negative cutter.
Okay.
Yeah, at Universal, and I worked at Technicolor.
Well, what makes you come up here?
Oh, I have a daughter that retired up here, and then my younger daughter came up here. So
Okay.
we're all up here now.
Well, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have you. The reason I asked that is you're sharp. There's nothing, I mean, you know this. You're probably thinking, well, I already know there's nothing wrong with me, Mike, quit being patron. But, you know, what you know as well as I do, when somebody gets 85, sometimes they can get cranky. Sometimes they don't. They're not as sharp as you are, Kathy.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, I'm still, let's see, with it for now.
Yeah, well, I feel that I should be asking you advice instead of me asking you advice. But let me answer your question. Do it.
Oh.
You're 85. What's wrong with doing? I mean, and if you want to drink an entire bottle of wine after you get off the phone with me, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're 85. You know what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of.
Right.
You don't need some young, dork like me telling you what to do and not to do.
Well, I'm just worried about, if I should keep my money in the bank in case I need it for Medicare or
well, of
whatever.
course. Yeah, you might. If you've got enough.
Whatever they're threatening,
Yeah. God, I really, really like you, Kathy. Anyway, because you use the exact perfect terminology, threatening and so on. Talk to your daughters and say, or do any of your daughters know about your finances?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. That means
yeah.
you've got continuity of your family when it
Right.
comes to money. That's very important. So here's what you do. You say, you know what? I've lived 85 years. Do you think that I have enough money to buy a few shares of stock of these two companies so I can watch it and have fun with it and see what they say?
Oh, they're agreeable.
Then I would.
Oh, yeah.
Then I would. Most of my industry is going to say, oh, you've never invested before and you're 85. It's a train wreck. And it's like, no, just don't invest very much, Kathy. You won't need to invest very much to have fun.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely give you the stamp of approval because you know yourself. You're 85 years old. You know what you're capable of and what scares you and what doesn't scare you. And the reasons that you should do that as well is the aerospace, what's happening with the downgrade of the U.S. debt and all of that isn't going to affect the fact that somebody that works in Taiwan wants to fly home and see their family.
Right.
It's not going to affect the fact that somebody like me wants to ski in Finland when winter comes around. And I sure as heck can't drive there.
That's right.
And you know that the world is shrinking. You've seen it shrink your whole entire life. Yeah. So what used to be a big deal flying on an airplane, you kind of have to a lot of the time now. It used to be, luxury and all of that. And you've seen a lot of things go on in your 85 years. And what's happening now in the aerospace industry is that obviously fuel is at a very high premium, and they want to burn less of it. They want to give as good a service as they can. And these new carbon fiber aircraft, they're more comfortable inside because you can pressurize the cabin to a higher degree so it feels like you're at a lower altitude. It's easier on your sinuses and so on. It doesn't dry you out so much.
Right.
So anyway, there's a lot of technology. There's tons of back orders. Somebody would say, well, be careful of the orders that the government has because they may decide to spend less money. Well, last time I checked, United Airlines wasn't the government, Southwest Airlines wasn't the government, and so on. Right. Even if Boeing lost their entire tanker contract because the government said they're not going to buy them, there's still a lot to do.
Right.
Yeah. And the fact that you're listening to the show really, really makes me feel good.
I listen every Saturday.
Do you really?
Yes, and I told my daughter to be sure and turn it on.
Well, do you like the show?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I know that some shows are going to be kind of rubbish and some are better than others, but that's just kind of the way it goes from being on the air all the time.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I enjoy your show very much.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling the show.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Best call ever.
What a job. That would have been awesome.
I know. And
working in Hollywood, that's kind of one of my dreams, is just kind of being that Hollywood about that time too.
Here's what I like. Not the timbre of her voice, but the tone that comes from being 85 years old and not panicking.
Yep.
Okay? She's not panicking, everybody. So the heads of PIMCO, the heads of everybody out there, I know what alcoholism is, and if you have a religion that allows you to drink, and if you don't have some sort of a problem like that, and if you're not operating heavy equipment and you're not trying to do quadratic equations in algebra, have a drink, sit back, take stock of what's going on, quit bloody panicking, and when we come back, I'll give you some more how-tos or what-tos, what I think a person should do in this environment. Please call. We'll be right back.
Any opinions expressed herein are given in good faith and are subject to change without notice and are correct only on the stated date of issue. Past performance is not always indicative of future results. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security or other financial instrument. Security, financial instruments, or strategies mentioned may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, or income from any investment mentioned in this report may fall against the interest of the investor, and the investor may get back less than the amount invested. This material does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and is not intended as a recommendation of particular securities, financial instruments, or strategies to you. Before acting on any recommendation on this material, you should consider whether it is suitable for your particular circumstances and, if necessary, seek professional advice.